Welcome to another Fixing RWBY What If. The last one I did was on What If Baked Alaska became canon. It was a short that actually got some of the attention of the sketchy huntsman. This one is What If Vernal Survived. Now if you have not seen Fixing RWBY, I highly recommend you do. It is pretty freaking good, and like I said in the short, it's the only version of RWBY that you should be watching. The change of Vernal that Fixing RWBY did was that instead of being some like right hand to Raven, she's actually Raven's daughter, so Yang technically has two sisters in Fixing RWBY. Just like in regular RWBY, Vernal dies as she did from the original in Fixing RWBY. Because Vernal is a fan favorite, as well as the shipping between Vernal and Weiss is also a favorite, I think even Raven also likes that ship as well. We're gonna see what would happen if Vernal survived. So nothing really changes when it comes to quote Vernal's death until Raven defeats Cinder. Raven walks over Vernal thinking she is dead. However, Vernal survives. She sees Raven ignoring her. She tries to call out for her, but she's too weak to do anything, even to make a sound. However, despite that, the scene in the vault plays the same, with Yang coming in and Raven teleporting away. Because we're basically focusing on Vernal, everything that happened with Raven in the camp just stays exactly the same. So when Vernal sees Raven leaving, it hurts more than dying to her. When Yang turns back to Vernal, she's surprised to see that Vernal is alive. She grabs her and just tells her to just hang on a little bit longer. She has a friend that can help her. And so Yang picks her up and they go to the elevator and ride the elevator top. While they're in the elevator, obviously Yang is worried immensely about Vernal. And so while this is happening, Yang is just trying to do whatever she can to try to save Vernal. That includes trying to stop the bleeding, or at least cover up the wound. Doing this, Vernal sees a side of Yang that she never saw. She sees the protective, sisterly side of her. Heck, it can even go as far as to say a motherly side to her. When they reach the top, Yang immediately calls to Jean and asks him to help. Weiss, who sees Vernal in Yang's arm, is surprised and just runs over to her. When Vernal looks to Weiss, she sees Weiss basically on the edge of tears. And once again, to Vernal, this hurts more than the actual physical pain that she felt. Obviously, the scene with the bad guys and everything else will play the same, but Yang and Vernal is ignoring everything else around it. Yang has to get Jean's focus back on Vernal, but he's kind of wavering because he's also surprised at what Emerald just did. After all that subsided, Jean continues to use his semblance on Vernal. Yang asks Crow to get like a medic or something, to which Crow does. After that, the rest of the finale starts playing out the same, with the exception that in between the talk between Raven and Team RWBY, Yang mentions that she just left her daughter to die. Raven counters saying that she chose this path and that she didn't want Vernal to do this, yet she did and she paid the price. She didn't want her daughter to die. Of course, Weiss chimes in saying that if you didn't want her to die, then why didn't you try to help her? Which Raven just says that she already died, looking at them like what the fuck is wrong with them. But of course Yang chimes in saying that Vernal is alive, she survived, which surprises Raven. After a little more going back and forth about this topic, Raven ends it by telling Yang not to drag Vernal into this. Raven already warned Yang and Weiss about the threat of Salem. She told them everything she knew, but they already made their choice. She can't do anything about it, and she knows that they won't even listen to her now. And with that, she leaves. While at Onsen, Yang walks in and sees Vernal relaxing in the hot spring. Yang is surprised to see her there and asks if she should really be here. To which Vernal just says that she's been rained on with worse care, so she's fine just being in the hot spring with proper medical care. To which Yang just gives a chuckle. Yang goes into the hot spring right next to Vernal. They sit there awkwardly for like a minute or two before Vernal speaks up, thanking Yang for helping her. Yang says, of course, we may have gone off on the wrong foot, but you know, you're still my sister. I'm sure if we met in different circumstances, then we probably would have gone along. Or not, she says, giving a little chuckle. Vernal chuckles at this, saying, maybe. After another silence, this time comfortable, Vernal says that she always kinda wanted sisters, which causes Yang to look at her. Vernal states that it's rare for kids to be at the camp, especially teenagers, mainly because Raven doesn't think that the camp is a good place for kids. She tells Yang that Vernal was a surprise, and that she was the last child in the camp since Raven took over as leader. Yang takes this information in. She's starting to see a little bit of a different side of Raven. Raven is someone that does care, she just doesn't do it properly, or she's just not good at showing it. Vernal gets up and thanks Yang once again. She says that she's gonna go rest up, and she mentions that somebody might want to talk to her, pointing at the door. Yang turns to see Blake peeking out of the door. Yang is surprised to see her. Blake shyly walks in as Vernal walks past her, and with that, the rest of the ending plays out exactly the same. Now, as for the festival at the start of Volume 6, it was basically plays out the same, with differences like obviously Vernal is there and is having a good time. She's becoming better sister with Yang, is getting to know RWBY, and is getting even closer to Weiss. Now, as for the teams about to head off, Vernal says their goodbyes to everyone. She's even sporting a new outfit. When Yang asks Vernal what she's planning to do now, Vernal says that this is the first time she ever had something normal, so it's gonna be a bit weird trying to go back to the tribe. She thinks about it for a second and thinks, maybe I should go off on my own for a bit. Like I told you before, all I know was the tribe. It'd be nice to do this for a bit. Yang smiles at Vernal and tells her that she knows of a place where she can stop by. He gives her a piece of paper with her address on it. She says to ask for a guy named Tai Yang and tell her that Yang sent her. Vernal looks at her with a smile and thanks her. RWBY gives Vernal a hug, saying that she's glad she has another sister. Vernal ruffles RWBY's hair and says, it was nice to meet you too. Vernal shakes Blake's hand saying it was nice to meet her. And as for Weiss, Vernal's really shy, but Weiss basically gives her a hug, saying that she was glad that she survived and that they could possibly meet again. Vernal hugs back and says that she's glad that she survived too. When they pull away, Vernal starts walking away but stops. Weiss looks at her with confusion as Vernal turns back. She walks back up to Weiss and in a quick motion gives Weiss a kiss on the lips, which surprises everyone there. Without even looking back at Weiss, Vernal just runs to her motorcycle, given to her by Yang. As she rides off, they all just stare at where Vernal was. And with that, the rest of the event of Volume 6 plays out exactly the same. So, that is what would happen if Vernal survived. This is open-ended because, like I said, you can basically make a comic of this. And honestly, I would totally read a fucking comic of Vernal going off on her own adventures like this. So yeah, Fireblade here. If you like what you heard, then please like, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and check out the Sketchy Huntsman's Twitter as well as Fixing RWBY. If you haven't, then what the hell is wrong with you? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Anyway, Fireblade here, and I will see you later, or whatever I make. Bye.